Welcome to day 6 of our Advent reflections. Today we'll be looking at the title, The Lamb of God. A name Jesus was given by his cousin John the Baptist one day when John saw Jesus walking towards him and he said, "Look, the Lamb of God that takes away the sin of the world." Now, this seems all a bit strange at first glance. What has Jesus got to do with lambs? Was John getting into his cousin? What do lambs have to do with taking away sin? We need to know a bit of the context in order to help us make sense of it all. You see, in the Old Testament before Jesus came, when the Jewish people sinned, when they messed up, they needed a way to be reconciled, to be reunited with God. You see, sin is incredibly serious. We only need to look around us in the world to see how devastating it is. It causes death and destruction. And so God created a system of sacrifices that the Jewish people would make in order that they could be forgiven and reunited with God. In this system, an animal like a lamb would be killed and would take upon itself the consequences of the person's sin. But this is a process that would have to be repeated again and again as people sinned again and again. I think when John saw Jesus that day, he couldn't help himself. He knew that Jesus was special and he knew that Jesus was going to change everything. You see, through Jesus' death on the cross, through his sacrifice, the Bible tells us that he has dealt with sin once and for all. He took our sin upon himself and bore the consequence of them so that we can be forgiven and reconciled to God. When I was a kid, I remember going into the business of selling French bangers to my mates. They were like these little sticks of dynamite that I'd smuggled back from my holidays. My mates thought they were amazing and I was making loads of money selling them to them. But they were actually, thinking about it, they were pretty dangerous. When my mate's mum found these bangers on him, she handed them into the police and then immediately phoned my parents, and I knew I was in trouble. My dad sent me to my room while he and my mum worked out what punishment would fit this horrendous crime. I remember really clearly, still to this day, sitting on my bed looking out of my window, absolutely petrified, waiting for the police to come and to take me away. Finally, after some time, my dad came upstairs and I was bracing myself for what punishment he might possibly have for me. But I remember really clearly how he came into my room and he just said that he'd forgiven me for what I'd done. I was in total shock. This massive wave of relief came over me. The weight of guilt was lifted off my shoulders, and I still had to return the money I'd made and apologise to my friends and their parents. But I've never forgotten that mercy my dad showed me, the undeserved grace. Although my days as a criminal mastermind are over, I still mess up all the time. I miss the mark. I sin. But I know that Jesus, the Lamb of God, through his death on the cross, has taken the consequence of my sin upon himself, and I have been reunited with God forever.